Raise your hands, those who are 40 years old. You were 10 years old on February the 4th of 1992. Any memories you have left? Raise the hands, those who are around 30 years old. Those who are 20 years old. You are children, sons and daughters of a historic time, of the Bolivarian Revolution, born in the 20th century and in full development of this 21st century. You are the sons and daughters of delivery, complex delivery, harsh. Yesterday night, we were at a beautiful meeting north of the city, next to the San Carlos quarter garrison, inaugurating a monument, a square for the people, with the eternal figure as a tree, as a blossoming tree of our Commander Hugo Chávez. Yesterday, February the 3rd, day of the birthday of the great Mariscal of Ayacucho, because it was the day of the birthday of Sucre that the operations that the Zamora of the Bolivarian uprising began, led by the military youth 30 years ago. And yesterday we were at a beautiful event, accompanied by the combatants of the February the 4th, accompanied by the popular power, accompanied by the international guests. It seems they were not invited. They are on their way, the guests, accompanied by the major state of the Bolivarian armed forces here present. My greetings. My greetings to the National Armed Forces, Bolivarian Armed Forces, worthy heirs of the flags of Bolivar, and worthy heirs of the flags of the Bolivarian movement of revolution, and of February the 4th of 1992. Commander Hugo Chávez, his comrades, and the Bolivarian movement burst in the history of the Venezuelan history of the world at a very special moment, where capitalism declared its victory over the peoples of the world. The Soviet Union was falling in 1991. The bipolar world was getting to an end. North American imperialism was declaring its victory, and they were declaring the arrival of the unipolar world for 100 years. They felt joyful and victorious, and they were preparing their plans to colonize the countries of Latin America. And then, with the domination of Latin America and the Caribbean, they will go to for the dominion of the rest of the world with the neoliberal project. And not with weapons and armies, but with power of the International Monetary Fund as an instrument of the North American imperialism to submit economies and the peoples of the world. The plan was already set and done, and in full development. In Venezuela, boys and girls, in December 1988, in the middle of the confusion and darkness, in the middle of the fraudulent system, in the fraudulent electoral system in Venezuela, one of the symbols of delivery of corruption and betrayal came back to power. Rest in peace. He came back. It was still a confused people. They believed in his false promises to the Venezuelan people. They believed in the false promises of far-right populism. And they thought that there were policies coming to help and favor 80% of the people who were living in poverty. The days passed, and in January, the new government's plans were learned. There was a document released by then secret, the intention letter, so-called like that was being negotiated in Washington in secret between the Andrés Pérez government and the International Monetary Fund. This was circulated as a rumor in the neighborhoods, in the towns, and the people started to see what was really going on. Then there was the possession full of luxury, of fanfare, of excess, of false promises that February the 2nd of 1989. And then the signature of the letter of intention. There was nothing else but the signature of letter of betrayal to the promises made to the people during the electoral campaign in 1988. They intended to privatize all public services, all state companies, including the oil company. They meant to privatize everything that was left of public health, public education. They intended, under the rules of the IMF, in that drunkenness of power, right after the fall of the Soviet bloc, they intended to grab with the imperial claws the North American imperial and open the gates of Venezuela to its people, to its wealth. That's what they intended that February. They trusted in the demagogy, in the lie of Carlos Andrés Pérez. That's why it was a surprise for the peoples of the world. It was a surprise for history when that Monday, February 27th, the people of Venezuela rose against the International Monetary Fund. 28 of February 1989. It was the first popular uprising against a new unipolar world, against the drunkenness of power. That in Europe, they made them believe owners of the world. It was a popular uprising that left blood, pain, and death. Because the popular uprising after that, with that, the largest massacre known in the history of Venezuela, known as the Massacre of Caracazo. Over 3,000 dead. Common burial grounds where they would pour the bodies by the dozens, men and women of the people, especially young people of the neighborhoods, of the great Caracas, of Maracay, Valencia, of Maracaibo, Puerto de Cruz. They called it the Caracazo, but it was something more than Caracas. It was the uprising of the Venezolanazo to conquer the land of the liberators of America. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we come from that history. We are survivors of a history of repression, persecution, massacre that has welded the character, the strength that moves us all through all these decades of struggle. The last decades of the 20th century and these first 3 decades of the 21st century. It has left a gigantic print on the people on the 27th and 28th of February. Without a doubt, it meant the rupture of the chains, of the social chains, that the Pact of Punto Fijo had knitted to submit and dominate the people during 3 decades or more. But history did not stop there. The oligarchy, again in the 90s, 1991, 1992, they launched an offensive of privatizations again. Repression was generalized. The not knowing the rights of the people. And again they believed that the history was over. The people rose their flag on 27th February with their slogan, February 27th, there is not a people beaten. This is a people that fights. This is our slogan. In the streets, in the neighborhoods, in the countryside, in the factories. There is not such thing as a beaten people, but as people of the struggle. Until we started hearing in the roads and the streets the sound of a new galloping. Nobody thought or imagined that the sound of a new galloping would bring the new history for our people. It brought from the death of time of resistance, of 500 years of resistance, the strength of the centuries, to start the path again, now victorious with the original project. Nobody thought that at that time, tumultuous times of popular rebellion, a military rebellion was being born of dignity, of bravery. They had treasured in the minds and the hearts of that youth, patriotic youth, of that Bolivarian youth. They had treasured that as if they had kept in a secret treasure, a magnificent treasure of their homeland, that youth that rose in the 80s that saw the massacre of that 1989. They had treasured in the school, in the military academies, in the garrisons, the word of Bolivar, the example of Ezequiel Zamora, the word and the thought of Simón Rodríguez. And in their free time, they would sing the redemption song to free their souls of the struggle and the dreams of the future dreams. It was that youth that with our commander Hugo Chávez leading was building the greatest treasures of the history of Venezuela, a project for the pacification of Venezuela, for the reconstruction of Venezuela, for the constitutional refoundation and democratic of Venezuela. They were treasuring dreams until the day arrived. Because as Commander Chávez used to say, and today I repeat, as a generation of those historical facts, events, to which I belong, there was a day, boys and girls, because the day had to arrive and somebody had to do it. And that dawn of February the 4th, in the thought and the face of Chávez, the dream of Simón Bolívar revived, the dreams of the great land, of the great homeland. And I say in the face of Chávez, because at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't have anything else to see but the corny face, stab face of a guy who came to tell us three things. You remember? Those who are 45 years old now. 45 years on. So we have super mustache. Respect super mustache. Super mustache is like a 20-year-old guy. I'm here with the super ring. We have to remember. We have to remember very well the uncertainty of that early morning, the crossed informations. Nobody knew what was going on. And suddenly at 11 a.m. of a day like today, semi-cloudy, there in front of the television cameras, they announced that the head of the uprising showed up. The door opens and there are several militaries with their stars and the ranks, and in the center there is a skinny man. The face of an indigenous, the face of a poor people, the face of our people, a face like a knife like, of ours, of the people, of the depth of history. And he takes the word with that bravery, that serenity. I would like to play that video if it is possible. That bravery, that serenity. And he tells us three things that only the people listen to. That oligarchy did not hear what the people could interpret with their intelligence and their wisdom. He said three things. One, so for the moment it is not possible, but the hope continues. Two, better times will come, and Venezuela will have to take a new road. As it was. The project, better times will come, the Bolivarian project. And then he said something that for our generation of men and women of 45 years old on, we've never seen. Today is a normal thing. The popular bravery of taking responsibility, of giving face. At that time, the bourgeois politics, the fake politics, was to hide, was to lie and lie, to deceive. So the Commander Chávez, in his message of 50 seconds, gave us a third message, when he said, I take full responsibility of this military Bolivarian movement to the country and to my comrades. Would you like to listen to that prophesied message that marked the history of Venezuela? Let's hear it then. Commander Chávez, 11 a.m., February the 4th, 1992. Go ahead. First of all, I would like to congratulate the people of Venezuela. And this Bolivarian message is delivered to the brave soldiers that are in the parachute brigade and in the brigade of Valencia. Comrades, unfortunately, for now, the aims have not been achieved in the capital. I mean, here in Caracas, we did not manage to control power. You did it very well over there. But it's time to avoid more bloodshed, and it's time to reflect. New situation will come, and the country will take a new path. So, hear my word here, Commander Chávez, that is giving you this message. So please reflect and depose weapons, because the objectives at a national level are impossible to be fulfilled. Comrades, listen to this solitary message. I thank you for your loyalty. I thank you for your bravery. And before the country, I take full responsibility for this military Bolivarian movement. Thank you very much. Because we have a Chávez forever. And that's how this history was born. Of 30 years of struggle, of fight, of consciousness, of a civic military union. Here we have, by my side, one of the commanders of February the 4th, Comrade Francisco Javier Arias Cárdenas. And today he came with his 4 beautiful grandchildren, with his family. I would like him to give us a reflection to our people 30 years later of this historic event, that the gates and roads for national independence were open, for sovereignty, for popular power. Please, Commander Francisco Javier. Thank you, President. I would like to, with your permission, to salute the comrades, the officials of the military uprising, the troops, the soldiers of the tank battalions, of the artillery battalions, all those who were accompanying each other during that day. I'm telling you that really 30 years passed by very quickly. 30 years, it's been a turmoil of events, of facts. They have led us all, listening to Commander Chavez 30 years ago. Right now we were leaving the garrison of the military police to the San Carlos garrison. Here, listening to hear the Commander Chavez now is like to hear the commitment we have now. And it is not the commitment for soldiers only. It's for the soldiers and the people. It's for the great civic-military unit. It's for the people of Venezuela. It's like Cesar used to say, the people is made soldiers, the people who lost, that feels, that struggles, the people that are always hopeful. And our commitment is in each space we are, that our responsibilities is to fight every day for the service, in service. As Chavez used to say, to melt in the service to the others. If I have a position of responsibility, to deeply know that I am not the owner of anything, but a servant of all the citizens. They have given me the trust to the Bolivarian movement. If I am in a space to make the revolution, has to do with these beautiful slogans we have, but it also has to do with the daily slogans of live examples, of work, of dedication, of delivery, commitment. What Chavez said at that occasion said, from there we were going to San Carlos garrison. So the next day, when the uniforms started to stink, because we've been 48, 72 hours without taking a bath, we started thinking everything had changed and that the new reality was coming. But on February the 4th, thanks to all of you, the Venezuelan people woke up. And it is our job to be next to the people and continue the hope that Chavez arose. Thank you, Maduro, for your work and consequence. So we can say is thank you to this brave generation that opened the path to the people, that stood there, and somebody had to stand there and had to do something for these people, submitted to treason for centuries. 1992 was the year of the world oligarchies, with the corrupt Spanish monarchy. We're ready to celebrate the 500 years of the conquest and the massacre that they so-called the 500 years of discovery by them. Things of life. I used to say yesterday, this is a chance. This is a chance, or maybe the cause of something. It was 500 years of the arrival of the Spanish army to massacre indigenous grandparents, and 500 years exactly from Venezuela. There's a shadow of Huaycaipuro, of rebellion against the oligarchies, rebellion against the imperialism. 500 years of massacres, but 500 years of resistance. And that there in that youth, the dreams and the screams of pain and dignity of our indigenous grandparents were going with that youth. So the prison of the dignity, because these men took their responsibility. They did not run off to the embassy of Spain or the Gringa embassy to hide like rats. They did not whine with the release from the European Union. They said February the 4th was a coup d'etat. It was not, because it was not financed by the Yankees. It was not a coup. It was not financed by the oligarchy. For now and forever, it was a revolutionary rebellion, a Bolivarian rebellion against the corrupted oligarchy, against imperialism, and against the International Monetary Fund. It was an armed rebellion, revolutionary rebellion, humanist, like it was humanist as they proved it to be. And when they realized that they could not fulfill their goals, which was to call for a constitutional assembly to take power, Commander Chávez, and we have to see the bravery, how brave he had to be to call for surrender. He called for calm, and he called for hope, for now, for the future. They went to jail, not to whine or cry, not to lie, because they went from the jail of San Carlos, of the jail of Fuente Junior. They went to their families to believe trust and consciousness with the people that would sing the national anthem and saw them as real heroes of the homeland. Then 1993 elections came. Those elections were won by Rafael Caldera. The only promise he made. What was the only promise he made? The only believable promise he made, and that made him to victory, and that it was that if he won, he would give an amnesty to the Commander Chávez and those who participated in the 4th of February uprising. And that's how it happened. The old Caldera won. He took power. It used to be taken in February the 2nd, and with the new constitution, they will put it on January the 10th for the swearing. He took it on January the 10th, and then the conversation started. All of them went out of prison. And in this same monumental square of the heroes, right here, precisely, Holy Friday, March 26th of 1994, Commander Chávez left the jail of dignity, free towards the people. As he said, that March 26th, when he was asked, "Where are you going, Commander?" He went out with a very well-ironed suit, and the journalists were over there, and the people, and they asked, "Commander, where are you going?" And he said, We're going to Miraflores for the political power to teach this corrupt lot how to rule for the people and with the people. He was a good prophet. He said too, we're going to the catacombs of the people to build a powerful social movement, a powerful political movement. And that's how it went. It was a year of persecution. I remember 94, 95, 96 with my wife, Celia Flores. Celia used to be a defense lawyer of Commander Chávez, Captain, and several patriots. Silita. Silita the pretty one. You didn't see the last chapter of Super Mustache? I am there. I say, let's go to the combat. And then Super Silita comes after and say, we will win. And then we will win, Super Silita. And then Diosdado is also there too, with a lot of hair. Delcy is also there. And Jorge, my super friend. If they have Superman, we have Super Mustache. What's the problem? They didn't like it? I mean, to them. This Super Mustache was done by a group of teasers to mock their heroes. Long live the teasers. Can Washington is here in the public. Can Washington is here, infiltrated. Dirties. Well, for you to see, we took the path of this social fight of that 95, 96, 97. When we're not in jail, but they were persecuting us. Brutal repression, torture. Several times I was saved. To William said, I'm thankful for life, for his management, for saving our lives. The journalist Vladimir Villegas, when he was a revolutionary deputy, he saved my life. One day that they had hit me, they were hiding me tightened, and before he took the path he's right now. Years of struggle. Commander Chávez, in 1997, there was a huge debate inside the Bolivarian movement. What path to take? There were many, among them Freddy Bernal, today governor, yesterday a mayor and deputy. Freddy Bernal led the internal opinion that we should not go to elections in that corrupt and oligarch democracy, because that opinion of Felix was majority in the feeling of the people. And those who thought like that used to say that we had to go to another military uprising with the support of the people and take the political power by strength, by force. Are you with me? Do you understand? This was encouraging. And Commander Chávez stood in front of us. December 9 and 10th, 1996. On April 19th, 1997, he toured the country for months to see the face to all leaders and those militants in the revolutionary movement, Bolivarian movement. And then Chavez said, stop. Enough. Never more a military rebellion. Stop. Never more weapons and violence. We will find a peaceful way for a revolutionary revolution, Bolivarian revolution, that opens the roads of the 21st century to Venezuela. Like that. Like a sun that comes out of darkness at dawn. It was the words of his. It was like a balm for the suffering soul, for those who struggle for a different homeland in the middle of treason, persecution, repression. That's how it went. That's how it was. Commander Chavez said, never more violence. If there is a window of opportunity in the 1998 elections to open the democratic and peaceful path for a revolutionary process, a constitutional revolutionary process, we'll take the streets to build that strength with the people, house by house, neighborhood by neighborhood, town by town. Let's give an applause to the international guests who are in the World Seminary for the new time and the Bolivarian Revolution. People from Argentina, Brazil, Honduras, Cuba, Mexico, Greece, Nigeria, Africa, Benin, Angola, Paraguay, ay, 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 Paraguay, Ecuador, alert, alert, alert. Then he walks. The whole Latin America walks. Alert, Latin America is walking. Dear international guests, Commander Chavez made an assessment and pointed out the path to take. And it was in Valencia on April 19th of 1997 that before the presence of 500 leaders of the Bolivarian Revolutionary Movement, it was decided to participate in the presidential elections of 1998 with Commander Hugo Chávez Frias as a presidential candidate of the people. They did everything to stop it, but they couldn't. It was a beautiful campaign. Who remembers the electoral campaign when Chavez won the first time? Beautiful thing, right? A joyful campaign, a colorful campaign of people in the streets with the main statement. Chavez said, I accept being the presidential candidate. But if we're going to do an actual revolution, I'm not going to be a president, a puppet president, to manage the power of bourgeoisie and oligarchy. I'm not going to betray the people. No. We're going to call a popular constitutional process for a peaceful and democratic revolution in Venezuela. And that's how it was. On December 6, 1998, Commander Chávez, for the vote of the people, for the peaceful vote of the people, won the presidency of the Republic of Venezuela for that term. That started on February the 2nd of 1999. The last year of the 20th century. The last year of the 20th century, Venezuela premiered a president with historic flags of resistance and the revolution of a people of 500 years. And that's how it went. That February the 2nd, Commander Chávez, the first decree he signed as a president, thanks to the vote of the people, was decreed to vote for a referendum to call for a constitutional national assembly for a peaceful revolution, electoral democratic. We already lived and know this history. In a democratic and peaceful way, this constitution was written, was made. In a democratic way for the first time in history, it was called in referendum and the people approved the text of this constitution in the elections of December 15th of 1999. So the word of the Commander Chávez was fulfilled. No more violence. No more weapons. We will find the road to peace and of the true empowered people. That's how the refundation of the Republic took place. The treasure dreams were fulfilled. The treasure dreams of these generations were fulfilled. Several times, Commander Chávez asked for forgiveness for the pain of February the 4th. Several times he said, no more. No more military rebellion. No more weapons. But several times he also said that historical circumstances that he had to live, somebody had to do something for the people. Somebody had to do something so that it was not, Venezuela was not colonized for more than 200 years more. Somebody had to do something for the treason to the homeland. And so you had to do that, brothers and sisters. But from those 90s on, I would like to emphasize this idea for the young people. From those years on, we took the road, the peaceful road, democratic, electoral, constitutional road, and that is our road and will be our road forever. It is a road. So we know history, conspiracy, coup d'etat, that on the April 11th, financed by the Yankee government, by Bush, by the Spanish government, of the fascist rat of José María Aznar, for the government of the oligarchy of Colombia. They financed the coup d'etat against the people. But it was the people and the armed forces to defeat in this great uprising on the 13th April 2002. That will be celebrating 20 years in the next coming days. Years of battle. Beautiful. And everything we have done, and everything we have achieved, we have done it through the civic consciousness, of the popular consciousness, of the revolutionary consciousness, and the vote of the people. We can expose a world record that only the revolutionary Bolivarian revolution movement has. 29 elections in 22 for the people to decide the power. 27 victories in a row through the right way. The last one from last November 21st. New elections will come. I think in 2024, the presidential election, right? So let the oligarchy to get ready, because the people of Chavez will defeat them again. Like they get ready for the rebelling they're gonna get. They will not come back. Everything was reset. I'm from the Venezuela, from the 27th of February of the massacre and violence, of the massacre of February the 4th of 1992, of the armed confrontation. Chavez built with our people a road for peace, for harmony, for mutual respect, for the democratic advance, for the people's empowerment. It's a great lesson of these 30 years. Proudly Chavistas, because Chavez opened the 21st century to the future of Venezuela, to the Bolivarian Venezuelan, to the Venezuela of peace. We are peace. I could say proudly Chavista, because we are Bolivarian. Proud of Chavistas, because we are peace, the Constitution, the life, the joy, and because we are the future of this homeland, Venezuelan homeland of this 21st century. Here I would like to invite to someone who was very young when he was a captain of the army, also he was a captain during the February the 4th event. Today, recently elected governor of the state of Trujillo, Bolivarian captain Gerardo Márquez, who is a representative of what I'm saying. Gerardo reached the governorship, going through the people, to the towns, giving solutions, foreseeing what we know today as the 3Rs.net. On his back, in his soul, we have the treasure of the youth of the February the 4th, that today they are leaders of the homeland with the popular power. Eduardo, a reflection, captain of the February the 4th. First, thank you to my commander-in-chief. I would like to greet the first combatant. We saw her arriving to the jail of Yares to defend those who were in the jail of dignity, with the military insurgents that was facing the North American imperialism, who was the one ruling this country at the time. I would like to greet all the comrades, officials, soldiers of February the 4th. Many things have said about the February the 4th, about the Operation Ezequiel Zamora. Many things have been said. But the human things are very important. The farewell to each one of the officials from their wives and the kids. I have to say, as testimony of history, as an act of bravery, that back there, that day, our comrade brother, Diosdado Cabello, said farewell from his wife and his newly born child. So he was in pain and maybe doubtful, but his wife told him, go and fulfill your mission and defend the homeland. And today they are here facing you, fighting and giving example to the whole world. It's a dignity, it's an example of dignity and struggle. I would like to say to this youth that did not meet us on February the 4th, that was not born yet in February the 4th. It's a personal example that maybe it's not the best, because one you should not introduce as an example. But that day I was assigned to take the Carlota with 143 parachute men, over 1,200 soldiers defending the Carlota, and we made it. And I always tell the youth, you know why? You know why we did it? This military operation, those young men and women in February the 4th, because we were young. Because young people have no limits. Young people dream with the future of the homeland. Your youth of the homeland, you are the future of this revolution, of Chavez revolution, that today keeps the people free, independent, and sovereign. Thanks to the people of Venezuela, we continue resistance. Do not make mistakes. This continues to be a socialist, humanist revolution to defend the integrity and the sovereignty that were left by Bolivar and Chavez. Thank you, Commander-in-Chief. Count on this humble soldier, on this brave soldier, to defend this revolution in the ground and in the place wherever it needs to. Thank you, people of Venezuela. Thank you, Captain. Captain Governor, for the vote of the people in peace. How much history we have lived. Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. How much bravery proved, how much resistance. Truly, from Venezuela, we give an example. This is the people that have surprised the world, and we continue to surprise the world. Because now is that we have revolution for a long time, and Venezuela for the world. Bolivarian revolution, Christian, socialist, revolution for the 21st century. Because talking about February the 4th is talking about resistance. It's talking about rebirth. It's talking about revolution. It's to talk about the past that is present, because we're here. And it's to talk about present, the present. There will be a certain future of recovery, of prosperity, of well-being for the people. We've had tough years, and we're still having tough years. But only people aware of their role can face what the people of Venezuela has faced in these years of aggression, of not unlimited aggression by the North American imperialism. And it has forged a union, a wonderful union, the civic military unit of the Bolivarian Revolution. I would like to, a captain, on February 1992, captain of the army, that later will make it to General-in-Chief. I would like to, in behalf of our national armed forces, to provide a reflection of union, of future, and of growth and power, of civic military union in our people. This guy, General-in-Chief. So let's greet him in their civic military union. Thank you very much, my Commander-in-Chief. A solidary hug, an affectionate hug, loving hug of admiration to the whole people of Venezuela. Today, when we celebrate, because we have to celebrate, we have to remember that February the 4th of 1992. Yesterday, I was reflecting all the original fighters of the February the 4th, sharing with them, because at the end we are the same. We represent the same. I was next to them fighting a few days ago, but at dawn, when the command voices were heard and the roar of vehicles, the noise of guns on the streets of Caracas and some areas of Venezuela, I cannot deny, 30 years later, that this heart started applauding that historic fact led by our historical Hugo Chávez, Commander of Dignity. And I say, with the same optic as my brother Gerardo Marquez, not placing myself as an example, but placing myself as a projection of everything the military youth by them felt. And I am certain that it was also the feeling of the people of Venezuela. Maybe it had to be in silence. But it was heating up the flame of Hugo Chávez that awoke in every soldier, in every person of Venezuela. So we come today from a march, my Commander-in-Chief, and I could see generals, admirals of our Bolivarian armed forces walking the streets with the people. It might be a normal thing 30 years from the February the 2nd, the 4th. But we have walked a long road, representatives of the international community, the long road full of rocks, obstacles, to be able to see a general, an admiral from the armed forces, to walk next to a woman, to a child, to an elder, in perfect civic military union. It could be a normal, but it's been 30 years. Maybe not for a historical cycle, but we're talking about a generation. A generation, as you said, that young that are 20 years today did not know. did not know, did not see, did not hear in life the tremendous shout of our Supreme Commander Hugo Chávez that February the 4th. To date, the road is open. Nevermore. It will be necessary, I tell the world. Nevermore. It will be necessary, and I tell the people of Venezuela. Nevermore. And I tell the patriot soldiers of the armed forces of the Bolivarian country. We will raise our weapons again in insurgents to recover the rights of the people. Nevermore will be necessary as long as we continue the road of dignity, of Bolivarianism, of sovereignty and independence. Nevermore will be necessary as we continue with the historic road that Commander Hugo Chávez invited us to create in his spirit, in his revolutionary conscience. Nevermore will be necessary as long as we walk the roads of Sucre, Miranda, Zamora. So, dear brothers, colleagues, we have an open road for prosperity, for peace, within the framework of the Constitution, and we have the open road for continuing fighting in the military and civic union like our people deserves. Its national dignity, its sovereignty, and besides that, the necessity and the right to live in peace, living with the rest of the world in solidarity, and also building our own democracy, our own democratic participative model. So we will not have anymore the neoliberal contraband of democracy. So we have proven that through the popular rebellions and regular military rebellions, we have proven in these 20 years that through the way of the vote, this people is determined to be free, independent, worthy, and following his history. Dear brothers and sisters, dear military youth, the military civic union, we're going to victory, we're going to combat to national dignity, to our independence, till victory forever. Dear brothers and sisters, thank you very much. Loyal always. Two goals had this Bolivarian rebellion. One, to bury 2 centuries of treason, and 2, to open the gates of Venezuela towards a new independence. Times of glory we have lived, and from a learning and a unique consciousness. On February the 4th, Bolivar was reborn in the same epicenter of the bicentennial time. This bicentennial time leads us to 2030. We have great tasks ahead to armor the peace of the homeland. We have great tasks ahead to armor the democracy and the Constitution from the imperialist conspiracies. Great tasks we have ahead to consolidate the economic growth and the construction of a new economic prosperity from Venezuela with our efforts. A new economic prosperity that will not fall from the sky, even though we have the blessing of God, Father, Lord, Creator, Creator of heavens and land, and our Lord Jesus Christ, that bathed with his sacred blood to our people. A prosperity that will be a result of resistance and the created work of the people of Venezuela. We already had the first year of economic growth. And from here to 2030, we're going to have a decade of growth, of recovery, of a new prosperity, of a new economy, oil economy. That's what I'm saying, and that's how we're going to do it. And in the same measure, we recover the national wealth. We will be recovering the state of the missions and great missions. We have to continue building the houses for the people. This year, we're going to build and deliver 500,000 houses to reach over 3 million houses delivered. To continue recovering the missions, barrio adentro, in neighborhoods, 100% health. To continue consolidating public health, and education, public, free, and quality education. So we have 84% and level of school with pandemic and economic war. I have to correct. We are in 3,100,000 houses delivered. We're going to build this year 500,000 to make it to 4,900,000 houses. To strengthen the idea of the homeland. To strengthen the platform homeland. Now with the 3 R's. .net 2030. The R for resistance. The R for rebirth, for national rebirth. And the R for revolutionizing and changing everything that has to be changed to improve the life of the people. .net. The new time for transition to socialism, because it is socialism, our socialism, the future of a homeland in peace, harmonic, solidary, prosperous, and happy. That's the course. 2030. We're working there. 30 years have passed, and as Commander Ariel Cárdenas said, intense, quick. How many stages we have lived. And 30 years later, with the wondrous spirit of the Bolivarian rebirth of that day, today we can say, in a civic-military union, 30 years later, here is the people of Bolivar, victorious in revolution, towards new attitudes, towards a new time. Let's sing. Let's remember. I would like to, before finishing these words in this wonderful march, I forgot. I remember when Captain Padrino Lopez was talking. Today, General-in-Chief. So you have made the mom of all marches. What a mom of a march you have made today. It has to be the February of the 4th so that the people will go to the streets with joy, with this radical and guiding word. a hell of a march. From Plaza Venezuela, from Venezuela Square, the people and the youth. What a beautiful youth we have. From the Avenue New Granada to Lince, the flag, and the meet and the re-encounter of the marches from early morning, singing, dancing, because our revolution is a revolution of singing, of poetry, of joy, of dreams, of shared dreams, of creativity. And there this strength comes, this force comes that has proven the people of Venezuela. These people have been threatened, massacred, stalked, persecuted, and never, ever have been able to defeat us. And never, ever, they will be able to defeat us. We, for now and forever, we will win. Independence and socialist homeland. Chávez lives. Loyals always. And let's say always to our infinite commander from this mountain, from this valley, of this free Caracas and sovereign Caracas, February the 4th, Commander Chávez, mission accomplished. Till victory forever. We will win. Long live February the 4th. Long live free homeland. Long live the singing and the joyful, and the joy.
Those were the words of President Maduro regarding February 4th, 1992. On that date, Hugo Chávez made his first appearance in the political life of the nation when he led a group of troops in an attempt to oust the governing elite at that moment. Historians regard the actions as a military failure, although they served as a much-needed morale boost for many people who desired a change in Venezuela's political project and better possibilities of social equality. teleSUR English now carries on with our usual programming.